Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Misha Ahmed, and welcome to another episode of Rendezvous on CxO Global TV, presented by CxO Global Forum, where we connect like minded people who are ready to share their knowledge and innovative ideas with everyone. So, today we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Habib Paracha, who is founder and CEO Centurion Entertainment, and also he is co-founder Blinq. Uh, Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Gee, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
So, before getting into or starting our main discussion, our viewers would love to hear a little bit about you, your career, how did you start it, and your early days, and all that struggle. Would you like to share?
Sure. I think everyone goes through a journey in life, and there are lessons along the way, some good, some bad. And that's how, you eventually find yourself or the path that you are, I guess, destined for through your life. So it's for me. It's been the same. I mean, I've done many many things. There've been many ventures, some very successful, some complete failures, and at the end of the day, it's just about carrying on. So that's how kind of I've gotten to where I am today.
Right. So please enlighten us about your ventures, Blink and Centurion Entertainment.
Sure. So these are two of the projects I'm involved with right now. I've been involved with films in the United States for the last 6 7 years, and then I decided to open my film entertainment company in Pakistan a couple of years ago, and I'm currently working on my first film project and a song. That's all covered by Centurion Entertainment, and the objective is to eventually build out a studio and to develop the local film industry for all kinds of content, be it online streaming platforms or films or television. And as far as Blink goes, Blink is a project that I co-founded with another partner about a little over a year ago during COVID.
Right.
And basically, it's a fintech which digitizes all kinds of bills. And basically, we're in the process now of we've onboarded about 11 different verticals, and we're now just ramping up to digitize as many bills as possible.
Right, sir. So, what exactly is the vision of Blink, and how does it facilitate customers when it comes to their financial status?
Okay, so it doesn't facilitate customers for financial status, but what it does is it creates an ease for them to pay their bills.
Right.
So, think for example, like a parent who has a school bill and they would need to go to a bank branch and stand in line and make that payment. What Blink does is giving them the ability, provided the school has signed up with us, to pay their bill from any existing account
Mm-hmm.
directly to the school. So, it's from a school's perspective or any other merchant from that perspective. From them, they're getting their monies far quicker, and it's giving the customers a very big advantage that they save a lot of time.
Right.
Um, they don't have to, otherwise every month they have to go and make those payments. And that's just one example, but it can be for anything. So any kind of bill. It could be your membership to a club, it could be your credit card, it can be your utility bills. Anything that has generates a bill can be digitized and paid through our proprietary billing engine.
Right. So, when we talk about digitizing payments through this fintech, what is your perception about that? As we can see that it can create a lot of a massive effect on the economy of Pakistan. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, definitely. Look, so a couple of things on that. One, the more digital you get your economy to be, the more productive your economy is, because there's a lot of time saving. So the time that
Right.
you're saving that would have otherwise been spent on filling out paperwork or going to a branch, parking, standing in line, all of those things that can now be utilized for other productive things. So this is all non-productive, like driving to a bank. I mean, to pay a bill, why do you have to do that? It's so tedious and completely unproductive, because it can be done digitally in 2 minutes. So definitely it will have a huge impact on the economy. And besides that, also it, to a large extent, even in certain other aspects, I mean, like school fees, it doesn't really apply to, but there are other elements where digitizing it will create a more transparency in the economy. So a lot of there's documentation, there's more tracking, which means that taxes can be assessed more accurately, and there can be less money is hidden. So it's good for the overall economy. Maybe not for an individual, but it's very good for the economy and it's good for the country.
Right. So as we see that fintech is taking over the economy, and it's going to be a game changer in Pakistan. So I'd like to know that with the along with the support of this government regulatory authorities, how do you see it? Like, how do you see its future?
If they put the right regulations, and that includes, I feel, some kind of a timeline as to when all kinds of companies need to go onto digital, and the sooner the better. But obviously, it needs to be managed based on capacity, for the companies to be able to integrate, everything onto digital. um, it will have a huge impact. And again, because you're basically recording all transactions. So, and it's there's a very big ease and convenience for the end user, the customer, because they save all this time. And in a lot of cases, there might be people who are not able to make it. Take the average, let's say, employee who's working a 9 to 5. Now, when should he go to the bank and make his fees payments or other bills that he has to pay? He doesn't have the time because he's working. So right now they probably go in their lunch break or on their off day. So when you if the regulator does this in the right way, it's going to have a very large impact and be very beneficial for the overall ecosystem.
Right. I'd like to know that when we talk about your customers and their data, how do you ensure this the security of their data, and since we see that it's getting critical, and it's a very crucial thing that is coming over, and please tell us that how do you make sure that their data security is being there?
Sure. So in the case of Blinq, you see, two things. One, we don't hold anyone's money. So what we do is we're a service provider. We enable the existing banking infrastructure to be utilized to make the payment, and we support that payment. The
Right.
money never comes to any account owned by us. It's moved from a customer's account to a merchant's account directly over existing banking rails, whether it's OneLink, whether it's NIFT, and once RAST by State Bank starts, it would be over that as well. And if it's within the existing bank, if it's another account in the same bank, then it's on the existing bank's infrastructure. Does not have so we don't have a data breach issue for that reason. And the second thing is that we are in process. We will be PCI DSS compliant, which gives us the ability then to and that's the international standard for security for websites and for data. So once we are compliant on that, we'll be offering our services onto multiple websites and all as well. And these are international standards. So I mean, that's all one can do, very honestly. Can it get hacked? Potentially, yes. But then we don't have any such data that could be utilized to, let's say, withdraw money or create a problem for a customer, because we are not the bank.
Right.
So there's no issue like that.
Right, sir. I'd like to move on to your this the great venture that you started, which is Centurion Entertainment.
Sure.
Please tell us about that. How did this idea came in your mind, and how did you start this this innovative venture?
Like I mentioned, Centurion Entertainment is because I've been doing movies for the last couple of years in the US, and then I wanted to do it here. So I needed to set up a local company to do that because I can't just be doing everything in my personal name. So that's kind of where, and the idea is to grow it. It's still very early because I'm
Right.
still working on my first projects in Pakistan. And, once those are done, then it'll be easier for me to grow this into a larger company.
So I'd like to hear from you that what when you started this in Pakistan, what kind of support you were looking for and you've got, and also what kind of challenges you faced.
I think the major challenge is finding quality staff because I'm sure they're very capable people and very talented people, but how do I find them?
Right,
It's not always easy to get linked or associated to them. And then the other challenge has been that, unlike abroad, there's no kind of funds available to get things done. Whereas outside, you have grant money, you depending on the type of project, or you will have film funds. In Pakistan, that does not exist.
right.
So it's very difficult because it ends up being like either self-funded or you have to find, some investors. And again, it's, through your own personal database that you find them.
Right. Well, that's very good to know from you. Sir, also, I'd like to know that you, over these years, you must have achieved a lot of, milestones, and you must have these achievements as well. Would you like to share some with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten quite a few things. I mean, I don't like to brag about myself, but I was given the Pride of Pakistan at the 23rd March parade in 2021. And then recently at Conclave, Pakistan, I also got Pride of Pakistan. That was held in Karachi actually last weekend. And besides that, I've actually done multiple courses in media, in national security from the National Defense University. I'm the alumni ambassador for Pakistan for Boston University. And also, one of my movies called The Last Full Measure got the United States Air Force Award for Film of the Year 2020. So, I mean, these are just some of the ones that at the top of my mind that, come to mind. And so I think I'll leave it at that.
Well, that's very great, sir. Great to hear all these achievements by you. Sir, one thing I'd like to know from you that how do you see the potential in youth when it comes to creating such innovative ideas like the Centurion Entertainment is doing? How do you see that? And can you just make a little comparison with Pakistani youngsters and the others in abroad?
Sure. I think, look, I genuinely feel our youth has a lot of talent. It needs to be guided, it needs to be
Right,
managed a little bit. And by managed, I don't mean, forcing them into something, but it means that, you know, they have the time, they have the ideas, but there's also a level of frustration that builds up because they're not able to execute on them. So
right.
that's where you have to manage it, that you have to create an enabling environment for them so that their ideas don't go to waste, their time doesn't go to waste. I
Also, they
mean,
need some proper guidance, which we
yes,
see lack of. There's a lot of lack in
absolutely.
it.
Because it seems like even in our schools and universities, for the most part, there may be exceptions that I'm not aware of, but for the most part, it's just the same kind of mindset that existed 20 years ago. And there's no innovation, there's
Right,
no advancement. Fine, I mean, even if you talk about IT, like until certain things become buzzwords internationally, there's hardly any movement on them locally. And even, for example, if you take films now, this I don't know of any university that's actually offering proper media study courses or filmmaking courses. So if anyone is really serious, they need to go out of Pakistan to do it.
Right.
And
And not everyone can do
can
that.
afford that. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Not only can not everyone afford that, but once someone goes abroad, then I don't blame them for looking for the best opportunity they have, which might simply mean that they get a job outside, and if that makes them more money and they have a better life, I can't hold it against them that if they don't want to come back, because at the end of the day, everyone wants a better life,
Right.
and completely understandable. So you have to create that environment over here. And
Hmm.
what is it that our youth wants? What kind of a life do they want? What kind of entertainment do they want? What kind of activities do they want? What is it that they aspire for? So you have to create that over here for them. If you don't, they're just going to keep leaving. Whoever can afford to, they'll simply keep leaving because you're not providing an ecosystem or an environment that is suitable for them.
Very true. So before getting into ending our session, I'd like to know that despite of your professional life and your work life, how do you spend your leisure time and what other activities you like to do?
Well, for me, there's two elements that I mean, honestly, like a lot of my work does end up tying into what I enjoy, luckily. But besides that, like what I do really enjoy is travel, tourism, and also learning. So I do a lot of personal self-help e-learning through YouTube, like
Right.
anything I don't know about, whether it's business related. I love cooking, so I mean, even if it's exotic cooking, I'll put on a show just to learn the recipes. If it's tourism, or like I'm very infatuated by construction, architecture, so I'll see like how buildings are made or how large scale industries work. From I live in
Right.
Karachi, we have a very big trash issue, for example, right? So I was recently watching a lot of documentaries on how urban cities manage their
Hmm.
trash. So
Right.
everything's out there. It's just a matter of so I don't, unfortunately, anymore make too much time for coffees and teas and just random friend chit chats, because I'd rather utilize that time on either travel or on learning. That actually I feel is far more valuable, and I feel more fulfilled doing that than just sitting and gossiping or you know uh,
Right.
going out for a meal.
Right. So, well, learning is always there. You can
Yeah,
learn at every age. It has no boundaries, right? So,
absolutely.
with that, I'd like to know your thoughts about the CXO Global Forum. What do you like to say about it?
I think it's a great platform. It's bringing a lot of corporate level people together. Um, and especially during COVID, when with these videos and all, it's been interesting bringing on people. Um, I think recently you guys have started a startup group as well on WhatsApp. That's very good. What you can also potentially do with that is try to align some of the startups with some of the senior C-level people, so that there could be some sort of mentoring or even investment opportunities created. Because a big problem I've faced, because I've also been involved with multiple startups, has been that connecting the investor to an idea is also at times very difficult, and vice versa, connecting an idea to an investor. So, anyone who can master that and get that right is actually going to be having a very good recipe of success.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. And with that, we'd like to end our session today. And it was a very great discussion with Mr. Habib. And we'd like to thank you once again, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
And we are going to we'll see you in the next session very soon. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.